The attic was dark and dusty. Cobwebs hung from every corner. The musty air was heavy, making it hard to breathe. He was searching for his grandfather's old watch. His grandfather had recently passed away, leaving Jake his old house. He rummaged through old boxes filled with forgotten memories. He found faded love letters, a cracked pocket watch, and a tarnished silver locket. Then his fingers brushed against something cold and stiff. He pulled it out. It was a photograph. The edges of the photograph were yellowed with time. The people in the picture seemed to stare right through him. Their eyes were hollow, their smiles stiff and unnatural. Jake flipped the photograph over. There on the back was a date scrawled in faded ink, July 4th, 1888.
Jake couldn't shake the uneasy feeling the photograph gave him. The people in the picture seemed to beckon him, their hollow eyes boring into his soul.
Days turned into nights, and the photograph occupied Jake's every thought. He couldn't sleep, he couldn't eat, he was obsessed. The house from the photograph was his own. The people in it were strangers, yet he felt strangely connected to them. Jake knew he had to go in. He had to find out who these people were and why they were calling to him from the past. He had to unravel the mystery of the photograph.
Jake stepped inside the house. The air inside was stale and cold, just like in the attic. Dust covered every surface.
He walked slowly, his footsteps echoing in the empty house. He reached for the light switch, but the electricity was dead. He pulled out his phone and used its flashlight to illuminate the way. Shadows danced around him, growing larger and more menacing in the dim light. The house felt heavy with unseen presences. He felt a cold breath on his neck and spun around, but there was no one there. He continued walking, each step filled with dread and anticipation.
The house felt like a labyrinth, each room leading to another, more ominous than the last. The furniture was draped in white sheets, resembling ghosts, frozen in time.
He found himself in the living room. A fireplace stood at the far end, its cold ashes a grim reminder of forgotten warmth. Above the fireplace hung a large, ornate mirror. Jake could have sworn he saw figures moving in the reflection, but when he turned around, the room was empty. He felt a presence behind him. He could hear his heart pounding in his chest. There, in the middle of the room, stood a figure shrouded in shadows. The figure flickered in and out of his vision, its form indistinct in the darkness. Terror lent speed to my feet. I stumbled back, knocking over a vase. It shattered on the floor, the sound echoing through the silent house. The figure in the shadows did not react. It simply stood there, watching me with an unnerving stillness. I ran through the house, my heart pounding in my ears. I could hear the whispers again, louder now, urging me to leave. The house felt alive, its very walls throbbing with a malevolent energy. I burst out of the front door, gasping for breath. The sun had set and the streetlights cast long, eerie shadows. I knew I couldn't escape. Exhausted and terrified, I returned home. I tried to push the events of the day from my mind, but the image of the shadowy figure lingered. Sleep offered no escape. My dreams were haunted by the hollow eyes of the people in the photograph. I woke up in the middle of the night, drenched in a cold sweat. I reached for my phone to check the time and noticed a notification. It was a photo someone had tagged me in on social media. Trembling, I opened the picture. It was a picture of me standing in the living room of the old house. My back was to the camera, but what chilled me to the bone was the reflection in the ornate mirror. Standing right behind me, clear as day, was the shadowy figure. My blood ran cold. Panic seized me. I threw my phone aside, my heart racing. I turned on all the lights, trying to banish the shadows, but the fear remained. I could feel eyes on me, watching me from every corner of the room. Then, I heard it, a soft whisper right in my ear.
Help us.
I spun around. Standing right before me, their forms solidifying from the shadows, were the people from the photograph. They were just as they appeared in the picture, their faces pale, their eyes hollow, their smiles frozen in expressions of despair.
Help us.
They whispered again, their voices echoing with an unearthly chill. My screams echoed through the empty house. I scrambled back, desperate to escape their grasp, but there was nowhere to run. They were everywhere, their icy fingers reaching for me, their hollow voices whispering pleas for help. Then just as suddenly as they appeared, they were gone. The room was empty. The only sound was my ragged breathing and the frantic beating of my heart. I lay there on the floor for what felt like an eternity, too terrified to move. When I finally found the strength to get up, the first thing I noticed was the photograph. It lay on the coffee table, its edges glowing faintly in the darkness.